Welcome back, Stephen.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. So, our first question today is about your thoughts on where John disappeared to in the hour and a half that he went missing on the morning of 12/26.
Okay, yeah, this is one of the things in this case that people wonder about. It's one of the mysteries of the case. I think Linda Arndt described it or said it was from like 10:40 to maybe noon that she lost sight of John Ramsey. And according to John, he was during that time, checking the mail. I think really that's the only thing that he, offered up during that time period of where he was gone. I mean, in Linda Arndt's police report, she mentions that John was usually by himself the whole morning and he paced back and forth between the den area, which is where Linda Arndt had set up headquarters for the kidnapping call to come in the den on the first floor. And she stated that during that morning, John paced between the den and the formal dining room that day. And there was, I believe, three different times, at least three different times, she said that the phone actually rang and John had to come running in from somewhere, a different area, to receive the call or take the call. So I think it's just kind of interesting. Only John knows where he went that morning or what he was doing. It is interesting though when you talk about the den area and the formal dining room. In between, if you follow that route along the way, is the ransom note pad that was found on the glass table in the south hallway, and then the Sharpie pen that was found in the little cup underneath the phone in the kitchen nook area. And then also the flashlight was found. And then you proceed to the breakfast dining area where the pineapple and the pineapple setup was found before you get to the formal dining room. So, yeah, I mean, only John Ramsey knows what he was doing during that time period.
Okay, well, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so next question. Why did the DA, Alex Hunter, give the Ramseys a free pass?
Okay, so I assume that the question is regarding Alex Hunter's decision in 1999 after the conclusion of the grand jury to not put his signature on the two true bills that were returned by a Boulder grand jury that indicted John and Patsy Ramsey for child abuse resulting in death and also as accessories to murder. Um, we can extend this further and talk about how I believe that the Boulder DA's office helped the Ramseys exponentially in this case. Uh, I call it the three almost unprecedented acts. And the first one is Alex Hunter not signing those documents, signing the indictments. I mean, this helped out the Ramseys subsequently because they were able to actually go and sue civilly and win lawsuits because nobody knew that the Ramseys were actually indicted. In fact, nobody knew for 14 years until Charlie Brennan actually talked to a few of the grand jurors, as I understand, and let them know that yes, we did indeed indict the Ramseys, and he had to go to court and actually ended up getting a few of the documents, the true bills that were returned by the grand jury. This really, I don't know if we'll ever know the true reason why he gave him a pass, so to say. But a few years later, actually in 2008, so 9 years later, so Mary Lacy was the DA that took over for Alex Hunter in 2001. And along with that, she brought the whole case file to the DA's office. So the Boulder police had the case file, and it was turned over to the DA's office in 2001 when Mary Lacy took over. This is when she hired Lou Smith. This is when she, um, tried the whole John Mark Carr fiasco thing based on no evidence whatsoever. And before she left the office in 2008, she actually wrote a letter of apology to the Ramseys and exonerated the Ramseys, which is just unprecedented. And she based it off scant DNA evidence that turned out to be, from my understanding, a composite. I mean, there was more than, the unknown male is, more than one person. It's likely it's a composite. So it's definitely not any proof that it's from the killer. So for her to do that seemed kind of irresponsible, and you wondered why, what her motivation was to do so. I mean, this clearly helped out the Ramseys from then forth. And everyone just thought, oh yeah, there's a Ramsey. In fact, you still hear it today. You still hear it today on TV, that same thing being reiterated on TV. The Ramseys were exonerated in 2008. Well, actually, they weren't. I mean, in 2009, the next year, when Stan Garnett became the Boulder DA, he returned the case file to its rightful place to the Boulder police, and he basically said that the exoneration, no longer stands, while he's in there. So he did that. And then the third one was in right after 2 days after the crime occurred, or 2 days after JonBenet's body was found, they let the sister of the two main suspects, Pam Paul, who was Patsy's sister, actually walk into an active crime scene. And actually, the Boulder police, who were in the middle of their actual investigation and collecting evidence from the house, were told to stay home that day because Pam Paul, the sister of Patsy, like I said, was escorted in wearing a police jacket so the media wouldn't think twice about it. And she was supposed to go in there and get a few items for the funeral and maybe some credit cards and stuff like that. And she ended up being there for hours and hours, and took out boxes and boxes of stuff. Really, the true content's unknown. I mean, that truly is unprecedented to me. If something happened to you, or someone else in your house, and a murder occurred, no family member should be allowed to go in there and remove items, while the investigation and certainly while the collection of evidence is being, done. So that was another huge, almost unprecedented act that helped out the Ramseys. Barb Fernie, one last thing, Barb Fernie, who the Ramseys were actually staying with the Fernies at the time when this occurred on December 28th, 1996. And Barb Fernie, in one of her interviews, told the police that when Pam Paul came back that day from her getting the items from the house, she heard John Ramsey ask, did you get my golf clubs or something like that? And she wondered, and everyone else wondered, why would John need his golf clubs 2 days after his daughter was murdered? It was in the middle of December, almost January. Who knows? Only John knows. But that's it's a good question, and I hope someday that those, I know a lot of people have worked hard on getting those the full indictments released, the full 18 pages, not just the 4 that we have. And hopefully someday we will find out more on why Alex Hunter made that decision.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. So there was blood found on the pink Barbie nightgown that was located in the cellar near JonBenet's body. And where do you think the blood came from?
Well, that's a good question. The pink Barbie nightgown, which was JonBenet's most favorite item that she had, according to the housekeeper Linda Hoffman Pugh, ends up in, why is it in the wine cellar in the first place? Why does it end if she's already dressed in her clothes that basically she went to the white party in when she's found? Why is her pink nightgown in the cellar? Furthermore, why is there blood? In fact, out of all of the blood at the crime scene, and there's not much, but out of all the items, evidentiary items that have blood on it, the pink nightgown has the most blood on it. It has at least, I believe, 5 different spots of blood on the front of the nightgown. Now, how did it get there? I don't know. I mean, like I say, everyone knows that there was no visual, spot where blood was, seeping out or coming from. Definitely not her head. So where did the blood come from? It's a good question. I would like to know more about it. Was it transfer? Was it spatter? I don't know. It could have came from her nose. Just speculation without knowing the actual blood pattern evidence on it. But it's a really good question. I'm not sure.
Thank you very much.